Hi, lovelies. How are you? Welcome to my channel. Anybody there? Hi, people. Are you ready asleep? It's just started raining. This is my favorite time when it's raining and I'm in bed. It's like God is singing you a lullaby. So, let me um do my intro again, just in case you come in after the fact. Hi there, my name is Kangai, and decided to have a small chit chat with you. I did a video a couple of days ago, I believe it was on Tuesday, where I was discussing and the whole idea of provision. And I was talking about, women who are afraid to be provided for, or rather, women who are afraid to be with masculine provider men. Or before you wonder, the setup, this is my, what do you call it? My nightstand. So there's, what do you call that? A diffuser going on. I've put some essential oil, peppermint, my favorite. Then I've lit a candle. I like candles. Of course, I turn them off before I sleep, so don't worry about that. And then I have a succulent right there. Yeah. So that's the setup on my nightstand. I'm still sourcing for a good lampshade. I haven't gotten one yet, but once I do, obviously, that's what you're going to be seeing the next time, if and when I get one. Okay. So anyhow, so I did a video on Tuesday where I was talking about women who are afraid to be with masculine provider men. And I asked some very pertinent questions there, and the gist of it essentially was that there is this narrative that masculine provider men are manipulative, they're controlling, they can get abusive. And so there are women who genuinely fear being with masculine provider men because they're afraid that those things will happen to them. And while I'm not trying to diminish your fears, and while I'm not trying to say they are unfounded per se, I did mention that everybody has the capacity to be manipulative. Everybody. And that said, it should then not mean that just because a man has money, then they become manipulative. In my opinion, my very humble opinion, actually 50-50 men are more manipulative and controlling and abusive than provider men. The whole essence of a man going 50-50 with a woman, their woman, that in its very self, that in its very nature is financial manipulation. A man who has the guts, the audacity, the gumption to expect 50% of the finances to come from their woman, that is a manipulative man. Because ultimately, and I mentioned in that video, men bring the tangibles, the money, the investments, all these other things, while women, we bring the intangibles. We bring our emotional labor, we turn the house into a home, we carry pregnancies, we birth their children, we raise their children. So then to expect that a woman then should bring 50% of the paycheck, that is criminal. That is truly criminal. And a man who expects a woman whom they claim is their woman to bring in 50% of the finances, he does not love that woman. Actually, he hates that woman. Because the very same man who's asking for 50-50 from his woman will then meet his dream girl, okay? And he'll do everything for her. This same man who's expecting to go 50-50 with you to quote unquote build with him, the moment he meets his dream woman, he will do everything for that woman. The hard work that you put in will go to that woman. The labor, the sleepless nights, the 50% that was coming from you will now go to make that woman's life better and easier. Okay? So the gist of today's video is to truly ask yourself, why are you afraid to be with a masculine provider man? What is it that is driving you to be with a 50-50 man? What is so appealing about a 50-50 man? In fact, in the video that I did on Tuesday, I asked, is it an issue of control? Like, you want to be in control. You do not want your fate to be in someone else's hands. But surely if you can trust somebody with your body and with your womb, what are finances? You like truly ask yourself, you're giving somebody, money comes and goes, but your womb and your body and your essence is something that, if you can give a man your body and your womb, what is money? You're giving him the most important thing, that is access to you, access to your womb, access to your time, access to your feminine essence, access to your energy, ability to have children. You're giving him the ultimate. So why do you feel then the need to add on 50% of the finances? Could it be, and I asked in that video, could it be that you either experienced in your nuclear family that your dad maybe provided, but he used provision as a means of control and manipulation? Could it be that you dated one person who was providing, but again, he used it as a means of control and manipulation? Could it be that? Could your fear really truly stem from that? Because yes, I have heard stories of women being provided for. Then something either happens to the relationship or something happens to the man, and then the woman is left destitute. But surely we are bright women. We've gone to school. Just because you're being provided for does not mean you don't go to school. Just because you're being provided for does not mean you have your own qualifications. Just because you're being provided for does not mean you don't save. Just because you're being provided for does not mean you don't invest. The whole gist of being provided for is that you have the luxury to either work or not work, or to work a part-time job. The whole gist of being provided for is that you save what you make or you earn. The whole gist of being provided for, it does not mean that, it does not give you a license to be dumb. Because I feel for some women, it's giving them a license to be dumb. It is giving them a license not to use their brains. Just because you're being provided for, even if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, you should have an allowance, surely. And then save from that allowance. Invest using that allowance. Yeah? Start something small for yourself, even if it's online. It does not mean that just because you're being provided for, you don't use your brains. It does not mean that just because you're being provided for, So the fear of being provided for is somewhat unfounded. Because you're supposed to have a plan. And also the idea that provider men are manipulative and that they're controlling. Actually, 50-50 men are the controlling ones. 50-50 men are actually, that is financial manipulation. By the time a man fixes his mouth and expects and actually asks of his woman, a woman he claims to be his, to chip in 50% of the bills, yet she's doing all this other stuff, that is criminal. And that is financial manipulation. So if you ask me, 50-50 men are the epitome of financial manipulation. So whereas you're afraid of being manipulated by provider men, you're actually willingly entering a manipulative interaction with a 50-50 man. Yeah? And fine, there are women whom have been manipulated by provider men. Of course they are there. But what lessons can you learn out of it? Yeah? How can you set yourself up to not be manipulated? How can you set yourself up to still be okay in the event the relationship ends? How can you set yourself up in such a way that even if something were to happen to the man, let's say he dies or he gets sick, you still can take care of yourself? Have your qualifications. Go to school, have your degree or your diploma or your certificate. Have a skill. Have an education and have a skill. Yeah? So this idea of women being afraid to be provided for, if anything, you should be afraid not to be provided for. And any man who approaches you, for those who are dating, any man who's approaching you to be with you and they're suggesting 50-50, don't even bother arguing. Don't even bother trying to change their mind. Like, that's such a waste of time and energy. Just be like, okay, I hear you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad to know that's your position. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And yeah, I hope you meet somebody, a woman who's going to give you exactly what you want. Because they're out there. There are so many women who are very okay with being in a 50-50 relationship. But if you know it does not go down well with you, just remove yourself from that equation and be with a man who's willing and able to provide for you. And they're there. They're there. Okay? So the idea that you would rather be with a 50-50 man because it gives you a sense of control, it's a false sense of control. A woman who's provided for and still has her education, has her skills, has either a business or something to fall back on, that is a woman in control. Okay? But you who's opting to be in a 50-50 relationship with a man who's claiming to be your man and you're essentially in a manipulative relationship, you're not in control. You've actually lost all control to the next woman he's going to meet, because that 50% you're bringing in is what he's going to give to the next woman. Which is unfortunate to say, but it's the fact of life. It's the reality, yeah? That 50% you're priding yourself in saving and, holding your man down and being a good woman. Being a good man does not mean you chip in 50% of the bills. It's a lie from the pits of hell. Yeah? By virtue of you being there for him, supporting him, cheering him on, giving him moral support, turning the house into a home, bearing his children, raising his children with morals and values and standards, that's being a good woman. I think people are conflating being nice and being good. I don't advocate for women to be nice, because that's how you get taken advantage of. Being good, absolutely, be a good woman. Because a good woman is not a doormat. A nice woman is absolutely a doormat. A nice woman cannot stand up for herself. A nice woman does not know her value. A nice woman will be taken for granted. A nice woman will allow a man to use her. A nice woman will try to please a man at their own detriment. A nice woman will allow a man to pay 50% of their bills. A good woman, on the other hand, knows her value, knows her worth, will do right by herself and her family, but will not let somebody step on over her. So again, why are you afraid to be provided for? Like, genuinely. Because until and unless you get over that fear, at the point at which, if you'll meet a man who is willing and able to provide for you, you'll basically just push him away, because it's like, you're living in fear. It's actually a scarcity mentality. And no right man in their right mind who is a truly masculine provider man will stand by and watch their woman chip in 50% of the bills. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So what you're essentially doing, you're trying to activate the predator element in a man. Yeah. Because you see that the ability to make money, the ability to go out there and make money, the ability to go out there and be productive can also be changed to become, a predator. Yeah. So I think you are inadvertently activating the predator in your man by letting him go 50-50. The day you'll realize how much worth you have as a woman, the day you'll realize what it means to be a feminine woman, to rest. And by resting, I don't mean you're sleeping from morning to evening. Just, you're not stressing yourself with things that your man should be taking care of. That is the day you'll know freedom. That is the day you'll realize, by the way, you have hobbies you didn't even realize you had. That is the day you'll even realize you'll become even more creative. You'll even have more time and energy to spend with your children. You'll even have more time and energy to even be I know you're a good mom, but to even be a better mom. That is the day you'll even have more time and energy to even be a better spouse. But the moment you drain yourself, yet you have a man who should be taking care of you, is the day you lose the plot. There's a time in church somebody said something interesting. Sometimes it's not so much that you have bad relationships, it's that you started in a bad way, started in the wrong footing. Okay? So when you think about it from that perspective, if you start on the right footing, of course things can go wrong along the way. That obviously can happen. We are human. But I think from the get-go, have it in your mind that this is the type of woman I am. This is the type of spouse I want. This is the type of family I want. And anybody approaching you and in the dating space, and anybody who's approaching you and they do not embody the values that you're seeking for, you simply leave them be. And that's why I said earlier, if a man approaches you and there are 50-50 man, don't even argue. Just be like, okay, I hear you. Thank you for being honest. I wish you all the best. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Don't even argue. Don't argue. Like, what's the point of even arguing? There's no point of arguing with such a person. Because you see, ultimately, I think the mistake we make is we think we can convince people to think like us. You can't convince somebody to think like you. Yeah. You can't turn a 50-50 man all of a sudden into a provider. Can they change? Of course, they have the capacity to change, but why do you feel it's your job to try to convince somebody to do right by you? If they're not okay with providing for you, leave them be and go to be with the person who is okay with providing for you. Yeah. But ultimately, set the standard for yourself that going into dating and going into marriage, this is my worth, this is my value, these are my values, and this is what I stand for, and this is what I expect. And do not accept anything below that. Okay? That said, again, going back to the question, why are you afraid to be provided for? What type of trauma do you have? Because until and unless you get over that trauma, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You need to figure out why are you afraid of being provided for. Then once you figure out why you're afraid of being provided for, then you work on it either by going for counseling, either by, doing some inner work, yeah, because you're going to find yourself, you'll be stuck in that headspace to the point that you'll meet somebody who can provide for you, but you'll push them away. So whatever trauma that you're having over the idea of provision, figure out what it is and address it. I normally say, to me anyway, I thought that some of these things are common sense until I realized it's not common sense for everybody. I genuinely thought it's common sense for a man to provide for his woman. I genuinely thought so. Until I met people who are not being provided for, and I was like, by the way, wait a minute. Are they doing it out of choice, out of trauma, out of circumstances? And it truly baffled me. Okay? So what I thought was common sense was not really common sense. And it baffled me for a very long time. That what I thought was common sense in terms of a man should provide, of course, again, I'm not trying to preach to you to accept and embrace gender roles. To each their own. It's a free world. It's a free country. You do you. But why should you be tired? And why should you stress yourself yet you have a man? It genuinely baffles me. Genuinely, like, it dumbfounds me. Yeah? Why should you have a man and you are struggling to be provided for? Actually, what even dumbfounds me even more, yeah, is women who are, they have men, their husbands, their spouses, boyfriend, whatever you want to call them, and you're afraid to ask for money from them. Women who are in a relationship and so it's okay for a man to ask to access your womb. It's okay for a man to ask to access your body. It's okay for a man to get children from you, but you're somehow afraid to ask them for money. You're somehow afraid to ask them to provide for you. You're somehow afraid, like, please make it make sense for me. How? It beats logic for me. It completely beats logic for me. How are you with a man and you're afraid to ask him for what you want, yet he can ask you blatantly to access your womb? He can ask you blatantly for kids. He can blatantly ask you for even 50-50, and you're afraid to ask him to pay your bills. You're afraid to expect him to pay your bills. It genuinely, it baffles me. Yeah. So I need for us women, as we go through this life, and for as long as we choose to be with men, in a relationship with men, I need you to, over and above the issue of provision, yeah? Whatever your idea of an ideal relationship is, I need you to visualize it, okay? Visualize whatever your ideal of a good relationship is. Then look at your relationship as it is now. And ask yourself, if you're given the chance, would you still be in that relationship? If you're given the chance, would you have gone into that relationship knowing what you know now? And then what I need you to do is figure out what your traumas are, figure out what your fears are, and how and why you've brought them into the relationship you have, and do a lot of inner work. Because you see, I'll tell you something that you were told when you were doing the, what do you call it, premarital classes, counseling, yeah? You were told the motto was, work on yourself and you pray for your partner. Work on yourself and you pray for your spouse. It's only God who can change a person. And it's only a person who can choose out of their own volition to change. But what you can do is you decide right now, right this very second, what type of life you want, what type of person you want to be, and start working on that. And you know what's going to happen? What I realized would happen, because out of experience, I've actually noticed that, is that the people around you, how they relate with you, how they perceive you also starts changing. So initially you start by working on yourself. Then as a response, everybody else around you starts changing in response to you. Yeah. Because you see, once you start, first and foremost, knowing what your standards are, what your boundaries are, and standing by them and enforcing them, everybody else around the world will just adjust. Because they'll realize, you know what, you can't deal with this person the way we were dealing with them. So in the same breath, the idea of provision, decide today that you want to be provided for. Decide today that you're going to navigate this world in the energy of provision. Stop navigating this world in a scarcity mentality. Stop navigating this world in a lack and poverty mentality. Stop trying to rescue your man left, right, and center. And truly let him step up. Your man will actually step up. He will step up. But the moment you keep thinking you're going to come in and save the day, the moment you think you're going to come in and Mark Mende, you think you'll be the one to save the day, and that's what it means to be a good woman. There's this influencer, I think her name is just Ivy. There's something she said, I think like a year or two ago. She said something very profound, simple but profound. She said, when you show a man you can, you'll continue canning. When you show a man you can, you'll continue canning. You show him you can pay 50% of the bills, he will let you pay 50% of the bills. You show a man that you know you can be stepped on, he will step on you. A lot of us want to blame other people, and not just romantic relationships, but even just general relationships, platonic, collegial, work relationships. We want to blame others, but we do not actually want to own up the part we played in that interaction. Was it that you're subservient? Was it that you're too nice? Was it that you're a doormat? Yeah. Because you might be here blaming your man and blaming the world for how they are treating you. And this is not victim blaming, but genuinely you have to truly ask yourself, what role did you play in it? Because you might be here again saying that your man does not provide, but you have not given him the space to provide. You showed him you can, so he's letting you continue canning. You're not allowing him to step up and be the man. You're almost making him feel inadequate. Me, by then, I'll even give him my lungs to breathe for me. I have zero shame. I have zero shame asking for what I need. I have zero shame for asking for help. I have zero shame, none, zero. Because who else am I supposed to ask? Who else am I supposed to ask? Honestly, like who am I supposed to ask? If I'm not supposed to ask my man, who else am I supposed to ask? I can't go ask a neighbor. I can't go ask my brother. I'll ask him first, let him figure it out. And it will actually amaze you just how good when you leave a man to solve, to find solutions, you'll actually be surprised at how good they are. And it actually motivates them. But you're here showing him you're actually handicapping his capacity to solve problems and to find solutions. Okay? So give your man the space to provide, give your man the space to provide solutions, give your man the space to provide financially, emotionally, yeah? Give him that space. Because otherwise you're handicapping him. Let him rise to his potential as a man, and he will actually surprise you. Because remember, as a woman, your work is to inspire. Your work is not to push a man. He's not a wheelbarrow. Your work is not to nag. Your work is not to beg. Your work is neither also to do 50-50. Literally just inspire him. Speak life into him, and he'll actually amaze you what he can do. He'll actually amaze you the heights he can go to provide for you and to take care of you and your family. So you showing that you can, you're actually handicapping his capacity and his ability to step up and to rise up to be the man he's supposed to be. I'm never going to push a man. That's not my work. I'm too delicate to push anything. The only pushing I ever did was in the labor ward. That is all the pushing I can ever do. Beyond that, and I didn't really push because I had a CS, but you get the point, yeah? The only pushing a woman should ever do is in the labor ward. Not pushing a man. No. The fact that you're pushing to bring his children into this life is more than enough pushing. You should not push a man to do anything. He will rise up. Let him provide the space for him to rise up to his potential, provide the space for him to rise up to his capacity, and he'll actually surprise you. Just let go of that sense of control. Again, why would you, it baffles me. Why are you afraid to let him take control in terms of the finances, yet you're allowing him to access your body, which is more important? You should not be giving a man your body if you cannot trust his capacity to financial capacity. There's no garage for a body, yeah? But money comes and goes. You can always find more money. But your body, so by the time you're not allowing a man to do what he's supposed to do, honestly, I think some women like struggling. Yeah, that's actually what I've concluded. The women who like struggling, the women who like suffering, because they have very capable men, but they're handicapping them. They're not allowing them to do what they need to do. They're not allowing them to step up. Yeah. So again, why are you afraid to be provided for? Why do you feel the need to have control? Go to school, have your skills and just have something to fall back on, save the allowance you're given. That I think is more than enough control. Do some online gigs here and there that can, keep you busy and keep you in, yeah. But this idea that, a man will leave you destitute, actually you're worse off. Think about it. As a 50-50 woman, you're contributing 50-50 to the relationship percent of the finances, right? In the event the relationship ends, or in the event something happens to your man, because you are giving 50% into financial, it means you do not have enough money that you are saving. It means you do not have enough money that you're investing. But a woman who's provided for fully, even if something were to happen to the relationship or to the man, they were saving, they were investing. So she's actually better placed than somebody who was 50-50, if you ask me. Even if you're a housewife and you're given an allowance, save it, invest it. Yeah. Don't be a fool, don't be dumb. Just because you're being provided for, it means that you eat all the money and get the latest fashions and what have you. Fine, look nice and all, but be smart about it. First, pay yourself back by, saving and investing. Yeah. So this idea that being provided for means that you lose control. Actually, a woman who's provided for is more empowered. A woman who's provided for is more rested, is more creative, and you'll actually make more money when you think about it, because you have the time and you're rested, so you have ideas coming in. And one of these hobbies can actually turn into a business, by the way. Yeah. But somebody who is tired from providing 50-50, then still carrying the emotional labor, and by somebody I mean a woman, you're worse off. You're actually worse off. I'm so curious why. Maybe let me know in the comment section why you're afraid of being provided for. What experiences do you have? Or what have you had? Or what have you witnessed? Yeah. And then think, how can you remedy that? Because I think you're really losing out on a lot by being in that position where you're providing 50%. You're basically subsidizing your man's living cost. Like, it can never be me. I'd turn into a pillar of salt like Lot's wife before. It's not in me. Yeah. It's not in me. And a man who truly loves you will actually take care of you. And that's what I was telling you guys, even in that video that I did on Tuesday. Just going with that energy of being provided for. Before you even speak, your standards should be seen by how you carry yourself, by your aura, by how you maintain yourself. Men automatically know women who are high maintenance before they even open their mouths to say they're high maintenance. You can tell by how they carry themselves, by how much they do for themselves. So that by the time a man is approaching you, they know if this woman is doing this for herself, then I need to do more for her. I can't, come with nothing, yet she's able to offer herself what she's able to offer herself. Yeah? So I think there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done all around for both men and women, but particularly for women, because I'm addressing women mainly. There's a lot of inner work that needs to be done. Go for counseling. I think that's very important. Figure out what your traumas are and why they're there and address them. Heal and don't take too much time healing, because I think some of us are on a perpetual healing journey. I mean, at some point you have to get over it, to be honest. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Because some of us are in a perpetual healing cycle that we end up not being able to smell the roses. Yeah. We are so caught up in being in the trenches of healing. Oh, this one did this. Oh, this one did that. Fine, they did whatever they did. Address the issue. Forgive yourself for putting up with it. Forgive them if you feel that is necessary. But surely you need to get out of that wallowing in that victim mentality, because for as long as you're in that victim mentality, you're never going to enjoy life. But like I said, there are people who like suffering. There are people who like, they find their identity and their solace in being victims, because victimhood affords them inertia. So even these women who are afraid to be provided for, some of them are actually in that victim and lack mentality, and they like, because you see, it's the familiar to them. But healing and confronting your issues requires a lot of, introspection and owning up to what you played, rather role you played in that interaction. And it can be painful sometimes to look in the mirror and to actually admit that, you know what, I actually contributed to my own misery and suffering. That said, it's very important that as women, we rise to truly understanding what it means to be a woman. There's a video I did a while back, I think it was last year, where I was talking about my womanhood journey. And hi, Irene. I think I was talking about my womanhood journey. And I admitted that part of what basically contributed to me truly embarking on my womanhood journey is having a daughter. And I've always been a girly girl, okay? Growing up, I've always been a girly girl. And having a daughter made me have a come to Jesus moment, if you will. Because I was looking at my daughter and I was asking myself, I'm not responsible for this human. Okay? And by virtue of the fact that she's a girl, I have to teach her what it means to be a woman. I have to teach her what it means to be a woman. So, it's my responsibility to teach her what it means to be a woman, but I can't give her what I don't have. I can't teach her what I don't know. Yeah? Let me fix this candle. It's burning. The wick has. And I realized I can't give her what I don't have. So I had that come to Jesus moment where I was like, fine, I'm a woman. I've lived in this body and as a woman. I have my lived experience as a woman. But what does it mean to be a woman? What will I be teaching my daughter? It hit me that I needed to be more deliberate. Yeah? Because I can't give what I don't have. And so I ended up becoming more deliberate about my womanhood. So even me asking you why you're afraid to be provided for, I'm hoping that I'm triggering something in you to truly ask yourself where that fear is coming from. But even more importantly, a woman should be provided for. So why is it that you as a woman are afraid to be provided for? What is it you need to let go of? Is it fear? Is it trauma? Is it childhood wounds? Is it father wounds? Is it mother wounds? Yeah? Who are you listening to also? Who are the naysayers you're listening to who are villainizing provider men? What are they saying? And should you be around those people who are constantly... I realized what you consume in terms of media, what you consume in terms of information, particularly around the people who you are always with, inadvertently ends up having an impact in your worldview. So who are these people you're surrounding yourself with that have this negative perception and perspective about men? Because for as long as you look at men as the enemy, even a well-meaning man, you'll push him away. Yeah? Where is that fear coming from? So as I'm asking you why you're afraid to be provided for, yes, it's a very specific question, but it's an all-encompassing question in the sense that it requires you to truly search within yourself what traumas you may have. What does it mean to be a woman to you? Because a woman who has a man and you're not being provided for, that math is not mathing. And why are you putting up with a man who cannot provide for you and who's not providing for you? Why is it that you're okay with 50-50 men? Why? It baffles me. It should be an insult to you. Any man who fixes their mouth to come and ask you or expect of you to contribute 50-50, you don't even argue. You just walk away. Just walk away. Like, what's the point? Like right now I'm hearing some men have now coined the term drizzle. That is the joke of the century. Joke of the century. In fact, one man had the audacity to comment on one of my TikTok, what do you call it, videos, and he was like, 50-50 is not about brokenness. It's about equality. And then he goes on to say, drizzle. I didn't even respond. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go down to the gutter and to the pits of hell. Nope. When you swim when you play with pigs in the mud, It's the pig's work to swim in the mud. So you'll be looking like a crazy person. First and foremost, I don't argue. It's not in my nature to argue with people. Secondly, it's not in my nature to argue with men. So if they think that it's about equality and whatever, well, drizzle to you two sees. You know, the bit is that this social media is making so many men tell on themselves. Yeah? It's making so many men tell on themselves. So a man is here telling you, drizzle, those are the type of men. You don't even argue. You don't even go down to their level. Just leave them be. Because you see, what we say in Kiswahili, kila mtu ako na wake. Yeah? He will find somebody, a pick-me-show, whatever they are called, who is very okay with doing 50-50. Let him be. Why is it that these types of men, these 50-50 excuses of human beings, want you who is high maintenance, want you who's used to being provided for, to switch to their way of doing things? Why do they want to change you? See, they just go to the women who are okay with being 50-50. I mean, I'm side-eyeing those women, but they're there. Absolutely, there are women who are okay with 50-50. Why can't they go to those 50-50 women? Why are they coming to us high maintenance women already used to being taken care of? They just go to their kind, or they date each other even better. Yeah, because it's really giving a lot of feminine energy. It's very sassy if you ask me. Maybe I should do a video on that. This drizzle nonsense, yeah? It's very sassy and very sass. It's very sassy and very sass. Like I'd be side-eyeing you like, Auntie Drizzle, what? Okay, good for you, sis. All the best. Go find your kind and be with each other. I wish you all the best and the happiness. But I did not even respond to that man. Because I was like, I'm not going down to your level. Nope. My mama did not raise a fool, and I do not argue with men. I don't care who you are, I don't argue with men. No, I'm too delicate to argue with a man. I'm too delicate to argue with anyone, period. But I'm too delicate to argue with a man. It can never be me. I think my ego is too, not I think. I have such a huge ego that I cannot argue with anyone. You know, I thought, on a side note, yeah, at some point in my life, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. Yeah. But I don't like arguing. I don't like that banter. Of course, there's a whole procedure to how lawyers do their thing, but I could not. My ego cannot allow me to argue with somebody. Just like, that's what you think. Fantastic. I'm happy for you. All the best. If you think the sky is red, fantastic for you. I won't even tell you you're colorblind. If you think the sky is red, I'm happy for you. Keep enjoying the red sky. So these ninjas were talking about drizzle and whatever else is drizzling. First and foremost, they're betraying their poverty mentality. Second of all, they're the people who will bring poverty and lack in your life. And I'm not going to bring myself down to their level, to the gutter and to the pits of hell, to argue with a man who says drizzle. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's too sassy and too sass. But anyhow, yeah. I digress. I'm going to do a whole video about that drizzle nonsense, yeah? Back to the gist of what I was talking about, how you're free to be provided for. Do you understand what freedom you have as a woman when you're provided for? It means you can either work or not work. And if you choose to work, it means you can basically pick any career. It means you can even turn your hobby into a money-making thing. Like, I genuinely enjoy what I do. Like my career, I genuinely enjoy it. And what drives me to do what I do so passionately is because I don't have to worry about bills. Somebody else is worrying about it. So I'm okay with just enjoying what I do. I'm okay with, sometimes I kind of feel like I'm being paid to do a hobby. Does that make sense? Like, I'm genuinely happy with what my career path is at the moment. I don't have to worry about money because somebody else is worrying about money. And over and above that, I have the time, I have the energy to take care of my daughter, take care of my home, without having to worry about bills because somebody else is worrying about it. I can choose to stay home. I can choose to turn one of my hobbies into something I can make money out of without worrying about, oh, it means maybe I may not have income for some time because somebody else is worrying about that. So why are you afraid to be provided for? Again, this is a very specific question, but it's all encompassing because it brings to question your idea of womanhood. It brings into question your idea of femininity. It brings into question your idea of gender roles. It brings into question what traumas you may have in your life and whether you've addressed them. Do you have mommy traumas, mother traumas, father issues, mommy issues? What issues do you have that are making you so afraid to be provided for? How will you address them? Do you need to go through counseling? Do you need to learn to meditate? What do you need to do to address those things? What do you need to let go of to allow you to enjoy being provided for and being taken care of? Yeah. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. It's just a jump off from the video that I did on Tuesday. I was talking about women who are afraid to be provided for, or rather women who are afraid to be with masculine provider men because they fear that these men are going to be manipulative, abusive, blah, 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 da. Well, in the real sense, the really truly manipulative men are actually the 50-50 men, and that's actually financial manipulation. So in their quest to avoid being manipulated, they're actually willingly putting themselves in a position where they're being manipulated by a 50-50 man. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking of I'll be doing these lives more at least once a week. So I'll be posting my usual videos. I'm thinking on Tuesdays. That is the usual video where you can see me on Tuesday. And then I'll be doing a live in the evening. I haven't decided, either Thursday or Friday. Probably Thursday. Yeah. So the Thursday video will probably be like a recap of the video I posted on Tuesday, or whatever I'll be inspired to talk about at that moment. Please tell a friend. Tell them about the channel. I'm so excited and happy for all the people who've subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much. Let's keep the conversation going. Tell a friend, subscribe, like the videos, yeah, share them with your friends, with your relatives, with your daughters, with your cousins, with whomever. And yeah, let's keep shining, let's keep smiling. All right. So I'll see you on the next one. Yeah. Where am I supposed to log off? Here. I'm looking for where I'm supposed to log off. I think this is my second time doing a live, so this is all very, very new to me. Yeah, so good night, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Tell a friend about the channel. Oh, again, this is a diffuser. You can see my hand over here. Let me play shadows. So anyway, so this is a diffuser. I've put peppermint essential oil in it. It's giving a very nice scent. And then I've lit a candle. The candle is gold, although you can't see it. Maybe I should turn on the lights. Should I turn on the lights? Let me see if I can reach the lights a moment. Yeah, so that's what it looks like, in case you're wondering. Yeah, so that's the setup. The diffuser over here with some very nice peppermint essential oil. Then we have the candle, a gold candle. I bought these what do you call them, candle holders a long time ago. It's a pair. I bought them for in my first house when I was moving out of my parents' house, Kitambo. Then there's this succulent plant I was given during my brother's baby shower as a gift for answering one of the questions, right? I want to report it. I'm looking for a nice pot to put the plant in. Yeah, sorry, I'm removing the dry to dry whatever. But how often am I supposed to water this thing? Because it's a succulent, so I'm assuming I'm not supposed to water it often. Yeah, because I've been watering it, I think, twice a week, and very little water, not too much, because it's a succulent, so I'm assuming it's supposed to be able to survive in dry areas, so not too much water. So yeah, so that's the setup. I'm looking for a what do you call it, a lampshade. I have something in mind. I saw something, but it was sold out. So looking, there's something I have in mind, so I'll keep checking for it. Then hopefully at some point you're going to see a different setup over here. Okay, so anywho, so that's my setup. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for joining in. I will not show my face because I'm in my sleepwear. Yeah, so who is this thing for ending the life? Yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Good night.